Okay, you guys, we are back into the Brian Koberger situation. I know it's been so long. I've been there since day one. So let's take a look at this new revelation that's come upon us, which isn't new to me. This plea reversal. All right, so I'm going to wait until a few of you get in here and then we'll begin. All right, I'm just going to look to see what Spirit has to say about this situation and whether Brian Koberger is being forced to do this or if this was the plan all along once he got in there and once he felt safe enough to do so. Or, I mean, I'm looking to see if his defense actually, suggested that he do this later on. Like once things die down, once everything is safe for you, you know, are you going to fight this? And you should fight this. So, which psychically, that's what I'm picking up about this guy. That this is no surprise to the defense. I don't think they're sitting there going, oh no, he planned all along, guys. But I need to check. I need to take a look. So let's see what we have. Let's take a look at this. With Brian Koberger, what is the situation with this plea reversal? All right, I am relaxing. I am looking. Because from day one, I didn't see this guy being guilty of this crime with the Idaho 4. So let me just see. Let's see what we have. Is Brian Koberger being coerced into a plea reversal? Or was this the plan all along? I need to know. I am asking my spirit guides. I'm asking his spirit guides. Let's see what comes up. Okay. Wow. All right. I mean, I haven't read a lot about this beforehand, before today. I'm almost getting that, when certain parties approached him and said, okay, this is your one and only chance to live and escape the death penalty. I don't think he was as prepared for that as it seemed. But he almost saw it as like, okay, it's a way out and it gives us time to take a look. It gives us time to prepare for a real defense. It gives the case time to settle as far as details. Let me ask this, because I almost get like the prosecution came in, and I'm not going to name a lot of names here. You all know who the prosecution is. I am going to take a look at just this approach by the prosecution to offer him a deal seemingly outside the purview of his defense team and Taylor. So I'm I'm going to look first. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to look at Ann Taylor for a minute. Let's take a look at Ann Taylor. Let's see if Ann Taylor was aware that this offer was coming across the table. If he took a guilty plea, if Bryan Kohberger took a guilty plea, he would face life in prison times 4. Let me just see if she was aware of this deal ahead of time. No, she found out at the 11th hour. And, I think she was angry. I think her team was angry, but they didn't see a better option for him at that point. So they did say to him, hey, take this and we'll figure out something else later. At least this lets you live, you know, at least this lets you carry on breathing. Let me look at this. Is Bryan Kohberger happy with his defense team? Let me look at this as far as his defense team. And again, this is Psychic Carla Barron. I'm just taking a look for myself mostly. If you guys want to join in the live, that's fine. If not, I'll just post, my findings here. But I just needed to take a look at this with the latest news. And if you want to come in here and ask a question, I will entertain your questions. Let me just take a look at, okay. This is interesting. I think Bryan has been communicating. Bryan Kohberger has been communicating with various counsel, outside counsel, that have been advising him that, hey, you don't have to live with this sentence that was handed down. There were a lot of mistakes made, and you should probably fight this. So I think he's been, sort of weighing it back and forth, back and forth. And I look at his demeanor when he's sitting there, and he's angry that his team was not notified of anything until the last minute, until they had no other recourse than to say, hey, just go with this, we'll figure out something later. Let me ask if he's mad at Ann Taylor and her team. Is Bryan Kohberger angry with Ann Taylor and her team? Let me just take a peek. Let's see what we have. Is Bryan Kohberger actually angry with Ann Taylor and her defense team? And I am using regular playing cards, which mean nothing to you guys, but for some reason it works for me on a daily basis when I'm doing readings. Okay. Interesting. Well, I just think that, they were all kind of waiting it out. They were all waiting it out, sort of sussing it out to see what other evidence came to light once he was in there. And he counted on that. But I don't think much came. So I think he was more angry at the process than he was at Ann Taylor. I think Ann Taylor actually have to, tell him, hey, look, just get in there, just be safe. Let's see what we can find out. Let me see if there's any other evidence. I know this psi ray thing. I know there are other voices out there claiming, oh, we found out that he was guilty and there was all this going on. Let me just see. Let me ask again, just for investigative psychic purposes. Is Brian Kohberger guilty of the murders of those 4 people, the Idaho 4, those 4 that were inside that home? Is Brian Kohberger guilty of this crime? Is Brian Kohberger guilty of this crime? No, not even. Okay, let me tell you what's going on here. This is interesting with certain details that are popping up here. Remember, I talked about a woman with dark hair, a female. She was angry at Brian Kohberger for some reason, and I just think that he was juxtapositioned to these people somehow. I think they thought he was weird enough that this would gel. This would be a believable, scapegoat. Was Brian Kohberger ever in this house? The Idaho 4 house. Was he ever there at all? Was Brian Kohberger there? Was Brian Kohberger in the Idaho 4 house? No, and I keep getting this woman with dark hair, not super dark, I'd say brown. There is some anger there. Brian Kohberger could have just pissed her off at one point or said something to her in passing. I just get that she felt that he was putting her down in some way, that something was going on there, that was diminishing her as a person, and she just felt like, okay, you're done, buddy. And what I get here is more a lighter haired guy, and somebody who was actually involved with one of the women who was murdered. And it could have been Kaylee. Or enamored with her in some way. I keep getting this guy, it keeps popping up. So let me just see. Is this one person that murdered these 4 people? Is it just one guy? Is it one guy? Okay. Again, I keep getting this woman with dark hair, this friend of, the household, this woman friend that was really not a friend. And she just was, I just get that there were there were feelings of entitlement and whatever. And she felt like, every time that this house and the people that lived within looked at her, she just felt less than. And I get this woman is somehow involved with what occurred. Let me ask if she actually lived in the house. Did this woman actually live in the house, the Idaho 4 house, the murder house? Did she live there? Again, I'm getting a strong yes, guys. Something was said. Something was put in motion that couldn't be put back once they started. I just think this was Mean Girls gone wild, and something happened here. Something got put in motion that couldn't be reversed. Wow. Here's Kaylee. Yep, Kaylee, and this woman with dark hair. This female. Something, guys, I keep seeing this. All right, so again, I don't feel like, is there a cover up? Sure. Is it the government covering up? Is it something larger than that community? There's a lot going on in that community. There's a lot of money changing hands. There is interest in real estate. There is interest in that town and what's going on, the schools and whatever. I mean, there's a lot of interest there, and government funding, but is that really what's responsible for these 4 people being murdered? I'm going to look again. Were these 4 innocent souls? And some people may not think they're innocent. So I'm just going to say souls. 4. Did this have something to do with that town, the money in that town, the funding towards schools, towards the police department, towards legislature, towards other things? Did it have anything to do with that? Okay. Okay, here's what I'm getting on that answer. No, it's definitely something that snowballed. But I get that law enforcement actually used this to their advantage for some reason. There was something else that they needed to either cover up or, hide or conceal in some way, something else, some other crime, some other situation where this was perfect timing. Let's focus on this crime. Let me ask if the killer is still out there. Is the real killer of the Idaho 4 still out there in Moscow, Idaho? The real killer is still there, guys. Still there. Still there, holding a sense of power. Like they were able to vindicate themselves, vindicate their love for whoever this was. I get this was definitely a crime of passion. and the others that were killed were unwitting witnesses that could have come forward, so they also became collateral damage. I don't think the whole household was targeted. I think it just happened that other people were there and could identify and could possibly upset the apple cart here. So I think because they happen to be there, wrong place, wrong time. This is what I'm picking up about this. Let me ask if Brian Koberger is actually going to get this reversal of his plea and a new trial. Will Brian Koberger get a new trial? Will he get a new trial? Will Brian Koberger get a new trial? Okay. Well, there's a couple things coming up here. I think he is indicating, I think Brian is indicating some things about Ann Taylor and her team that are not true, kind of throwing them under the bus a little bit. And I think it's because Anne made promises to keep investigating, and I think she just got busy with her other cases and her life. And I think Brian actually expected her to do what she said she was going to do. I think the reason this came out at this time, he was wanting her to do it, their team, as promised, and I don't think she changed her mind on it. I think she just became overwhelmed with her work schedule. I think she did have the right intentions towards bringing this forward. And, to keep working on it. And I think just months went by and it just became less and less, in the foreground. So that's what's happening here. I think it was a promise that was made. It was good intent, but I think life just presented itself and she just didn't have the time. She got overwhelmed with her work schedule with the docket there, and that's what happened. And that's why he came forward with this. But I also think he's getting a little vengeful and throwing her and her team under the bus a little bit because they did make promises that they are not making good on. And he doesn't care what their reason is. Brian Koberger does not care about what the reason was. Okay, so will Brian Koberger get a new trial? Interesting. Again, I keep getting a friend of Brian Koberger's is the reason this happened in the first place. This is a male friend that was associated with this female that decided to use him as the scapegoat. This male friend wasn't that good of a friend, that close of a friend, but he is responsible for pointing the finger at and making this a viable candidate for going down for this crime. Will Brian Koberger ever leave prison? Will he ever be found innocent of this crime? Will Brian Koberger be found innocent of this crime? All right, I'm just going to tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing 2028 as the time frame. It's telling me that it's like the first quarter, like January, February, right around there. And I'm getting some new information comes to light. Does Brian get a new trial? Is that the reason? I get yes, but I also get there's some evidence that comes forward about somebody else. And it does sort of exonerate him. Let me see if that's true. And I'll look at this again, guys. I just wanted to look at it because I saw the new developments and I was so invested in this case before. Is Brian Koberger going to be exonerated for the crime of the Idaho 4? Will this happen? Exoneration. Okay. Okay. It's kind of weird. I see that he will be, but it's almost like an afterthought. It's like something else happens, some other evidence comes forward. Let me see if it's another crime. Is there another crime that will happen in Moscow that sheds some doubt on Brian Koberger being the killer of the Idaho 4? There is there another crime that happens in the meantime between now and 2028, which is the year I'm seeing where this happens? Is there another crime that places doubt on Brian Koberger? Maybe it's the same signature. Maybe it's very similar to the Idaho 4, like that same signature crime. Is that what it is? Is it the same? Okay. This is what it's telling me, and I'll just make this statement and we'll see how it turns out. But I'm seeing that Brian Koberger and his throwing his team under the bus, he also manages to throw a couple of other people under the bus as well. And it's not his team. It's like people that are outside of this that are angry that fingers are being pointed at them and they're being brought in for questioning once again. And I see that that is what causes another event. It's almost like a ripple effect. Will another murder happen in Moscow? Okay, I get there will be another murder in Moscow, but it's almost like Brian Koberger is almost making statements like they were sloppy, with how they did this or whatever. And it's almost like they want to up their game. They want to not be known as being a sloppy murderer. They need to be seen as having ultimate expertise in having pulled this off. And I think Brian, this shows how stupid they were and the mistakes they made in committing this crime, almost using like his schooling to fuel his defense, but also placing doubt on whether he did it, as if he wouldn't have made those mistakes if he were the one. Something along those lines. And this person is getting very angry. They still live there. They are still living there. The killer is still living there. Let me ask this. I forgot to check this. Is it just one killer for the Idaho 4? Is it just one person? One person who committed this crime? No. It was one person who did the actual killing and one person who was the lookout, who kept people away from what was happening. And the one person that kept people away from what was happening has been in that house before, has partied in that house before, has known those people before, knew the two women that survived. He helped. He was the lookout. He helped. This is so strange to be thrown back in this again, because I literally haven't done this for a while with this case. But it's so clear in my head right now. We're gonna do more, okay? Now that you know this has resurrected because of his plea reversal. You'll remember what I've said before about Brian Kohberger, not only with my postings here on Twitter X, but you know, on very, he didn't do this. He was set up and he became the scapegoat. And it's because of some male that he knew that said he's perfect for this. It's some male that knew him. I don't get that he had a personal problem with him. It was more like he was searching for somebody that would fit the description, that would fit this crime enough to get the real killer off this trail. Now, this person that I see that did this was not young, was not as young as the victims, was not college age, beyond college age. One male did the killing. I still get military background, some sort of training. Definitely some sort of training, some sort of prowess with knives and yeah, definitely training. Older. I mean, all the regular stuff. Could have suffered from PTSD, whatever, but that wasn't the reason. It was more targeting what these individuals represented to him. You know, the entitlement aspect bothered him a lot. The fact that that you know contingent or that demographic always gets all the attention, all the opportunities, all the correct treatment. And then I see it was an idea one day. I don't know how long it was in. I get more of an impulse than I do long-term planning. I get that one day this individual woke up and said, I am going to make my mark on these people. If I end up dying because of it, who cares? And I get that he didn't really have any, ideas of self preservation, this killer. When I profile him, I see that he didn't care. It was more the statement he was making and eradicating society of these types of people. It was more that it was some sort of ideology you know that permeated his thinking. There's somebody else that was more like his lieutenant, that sort of, bought into his framework, bought into his way of thinking, would sit and talk hours with him, and, said, go find me somebody that's representative of this. And I get this other person is who chose that house, that party house, almost like it was selected for as 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 the symbol of his ideology. So, okay, this is like way dark for a Thursday, but I'm going to leave it at this. I'm going to do more if you guys want me to do more, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing the time frame of 2028 when we will see, will Brian Koberger walk free from prison after this? Will he walk free? Will he be let go? Uh, yeah, I mean, I see that something is happening here where an investigator is helping him. And it looks like a female, actually, a female investigator is helping him, sort of secretly, um, covertly helping him gather information, gather intel, gather data that can help his cause. Um, because she never believed that he was guilty. So I think she's doing this pro bono, actually just helping him. All right, so that's what I'm seeing so far. Guys, more to come, but this is in the Brian Koberger series. I will upload this to all the platforms and I will do more. Let me know what questions you have next time. Pop in here. I'll be on YouTube shortly. I just have to do this not here, but somewhere else. So I'm thinking I'll be doing this when I move. And let's see what happens. But this is, it's shocking that he's reversing his plea, but it's not shocking to me. I barely was fazed. I was almost expecting this with what I had said before, what I'd seen before. So anyway, I will upload all of this. I will be back either tomorrow with another Nancy Guthrie update. I might do it tomorrow. And then Saturday, I'll be doing my astrology psychic predictions for this upcoming week. Heading into August, a month. Oh God, I can't believe July is already over. Anyway, let me know. Let me know how you like this. Let me know if this inspired some questions here. I'll talk to you guys soon, and I'll probably see you back here tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.